The next practicum project is designed to give us some experience working with strings. We're going to create a project in which the user enters a person's full name, such as James Carter, and enters an email address, such as peanutfarmer@plains.com, clicks the Add to Table, and it's going to take the first name and the last name and reverse them with a comma and display that in a table with the first column being full name. Then it's going to split out the username of the email address as a second column and the domain name of the email address as a third column. Remember, the trick is to use a monospace font for our table, such as Courier New, so that everything aligns nicely. And you can use pad right here, or you could use the string.format columns formatting string. On a form load, you want to add the column headings and underlines in your form load, as demonstrated in a previous video lesson. And in fact, I give you the code to do that. I'm using pad right in my example here. Give you the storyboard. So we have a label named LBL output, and then two text boxes named txt full name, txt email, and a button named btn add. Let's take a look at the running application. The email table project opens with the column headings and the underscores being equal signs on a second row. And then the user can enter their user's full name. So here I have George Washington, and email address, georgewashington@valleyforge.gov. Click Add to Table. It's going to swap the first name and last name, so that's Washington, George for full name. Username, which is the text in front of the @ symbol, and the domain name, which is the text after the @ symbol. It clears the text boxes, sets the focus back into the full name. So I'll enter Abraham Lincoln and an email address of stovehatman@gettysburg.org. And that gets added to the table. So we can continue adding more items to the table. So this is a good practice of using index of, substring, and either pad right or the string.format with a formatting string for the columns. I suggest you pause here and try this on your own, and I will then show you my code review in the rest of the video. For the interface, I have a large label. The back color set to black, the fore color to lime green, and I give it a font of Courier New 12-point bold. Courier New being a monospace font. We want a monospace font so every character takes the same amount of width, and that will allow our columns to align perfectly. I also give it a little bit of padding of 10 pixels all the way around, just so it's not up against the margins or up against the top. Text box named txt full name, another one named txt email, and then my button btn add. Nothing unusual about any of those controls. Let's take a look at the code for the add to table button. So I set two global variables named column width and column 2 and set them to 25 and 20. Those I will use in my pad right expressions. And then for form load, I am setting the text of LBL output to full name padded right to the column width 1, concatenating username padded to the right of column width 2, and concatenating the word domain. LBL output.text, then I'm concatenating to the text a carriage return line feed, and then underscores to be under those different column headings. For the add button, I dimmed a variable of full name as string equals txt fullname.text, email as string, txt email.text, and then first name and last name, user and domain all as strings. I dimmed IDX as an integer, and it's going to equal full name, index of, and I'm looking for the space. So it's a quote, space, quote in the parentheses of index of. If it doesn't find a space, so it's -1, if IDX equals -1, then I'm going to show a message box that they didn't enter the name properly, and I want to exit the sub, not do anything else. We'll assume it finds a space, in which case the first name is going to equal the full name dot substring, going from character 0, and the number of characters is the value of IDX. The last name is the full name dot substring, and we're going to go from IDX plus 1, so the character after the space, all the way to the end. And then IDX equals email.indexOf, and here I'm looking for the @ symbol. And again, if it's a -1, we'll display a message box that the email is not in the proper format and exit the sub. Otherwise, user equals email.substring from 0, starting at 0, number of characters is IDX, and then domain equals email.substring and the character after IDX, so IDX plus 1. Now for my output, I'm going to concatenate a carriage return line feed to give me a new line. And then using an interpolated string, I want the value of last name, comma, first name. I'm going to pad that to the right of column width 1. And concatenate to that then the username dot padded right, column width 2, and domain. TXT full name dot clear, clearing that text box, clearing the email text box, and setting the focus to TXT full name. If you just jumped into this video, you can see all the videos from the Programming Practicum playlist by clicking on the image in the lower right. And if you'd like to be alerted to future videos I create, you can click my picture in the top right to subscribe to the channel.